Hey there, everybody. Vitor here. Just setting on my screen for a second. And welcome to the first podcast I have ever done on any medium, for any league, for anything. So I am testing this out, see how it'll go. Come along on this journey with me, and let's talk about some SHL stuff. So just give me a quick second while I check that. Oh, music's still on. Check that everything is how it's supposed to be. So, like I said, this is my first podcast. I had no idea how to set up a podcast. I knew I wanted it to be on YouTube just because I liked, having the YouTube access with the streams and everything, just like the SHL, Major Junior Hockey League does as well. So I knew I wanted it on YouTube. I just had to figure out how. I've never streamed anything from YouTube before. This past World Junior Championship has kind of motivated me to get into this podcast stuff and the streaming stuff because I had to, as commissioner, jump in and kind of figure out how all that streaming stuff works to support the streamer, J-Bay, in doing that. So I think it'll be fun. We'll see. Yeah. So I just put up a question thread like, I don't know, 3 minutes ago. So I don't have any questions. And I don't exactly know what we're going to talk about in this first episode. But I did write down a few things just to quickly chat about, talk about. The first one I wanted to talk about was the World Junior Championship. So some of you may know, some of you may not. I was hired as the commissioner this year after Zodiac losers stepped down last year. And I had GM'd Team North America in the World Junior Championship for like 6 or 7 seasons. And I really think the World Junior Championship is pretty fun, especially as a GM. So I wanted to keep that going and make sure that the GMs and just the players of the future got that same great experience that I had in the World Junior Championship. So applying and getting the job, really my main goal is to just make it fun and keep it running. So we had some logistical issues the past year, not really anyone's fault. Just, life gets in the way and maybe the World Junior Championship isn't on the top of people's radar. So it just kind of slid to the background a little bit. And so my first goal coming in is to make sure that, WJC, I haven't figured out if I want to call it WJC or World Junior Championship. I don't know what rolls off the tongue better. But I wanted to make sure the visibility of that tournament was really improved this year. Posting on the website, on the forums, make sure people can see that it's actually happening. Putting out announcements through Discord about streams, live streams, whenever, things are going down. And really, and this goes for any aspect of the site, the most important part of running anything on any forum site are the people. So I had to make sure coming in, starting off, it was just me as commissioner. We didn't have we didn't have a streamer. We didn't have GMs. We did have a file worker. So Serpy stayed on from last year to work on the file, which was a big help. He did awesome this year. And then really we only had the IIHF HO, which was kind of helping set it up with me right at the beginning. So it was just me. And so I had to first hire a simmer. And luckily, and I am so thankful for him, J-Bay messaged me actually in in the site, in the SHL forums, and said, he's interested and he wants to try it out. I think he said he had previous simming experience in other leagues, possibly, if I remember correctly. So he was hired. He was the only one to apply, but I don't think that matters because I think he did an absolutely amazing, fantastic job at simming the World Junior Championship this year. So that job is his forever if he wants it. Well, I can't say that. I won't say that. Never mind. I didn't say that. But, if he applies, he's pretty darn good at it. So I might give him a flyer. So we got the simmer, have the file worker. I really, really wanted some head office members to help me. Unfortunately, I didn't get any applications. The application portal is still open on those. So if you're interested in helping me run the World Junior Championship, getting paid like $5 million and just having a great time, I encourage you to go on the site and apply. I got the site up right here. Let's look at it. So, job postings, HO members. So, the idea was instead of just having 2 HO members like general to just be there and help things, I wanted to specialize the positions. So, thinking about the 2 most important aspects of the tournament is visibility and then operations. So the visibility piece, I wanted someone called like media and excitement, somebody that would post updates, do outreach campaigns, talk to new users, get in the DMs, all that, just create some excitement about the tournament. And stay on top of all the posts and make sure that it's visible and regularly updated. Unfortunately, we don't have that. So it was kind of lackluster this year. We did our best, but it was probably about status quo as past years. But I'd like to improve that and going into the future. Second thing is HO operations. So I did this as well. And I could definitely use more help in this category. So Holtz Fan 10, he actually helped out a little bit in this, and also Blitz helped out. They kind of tag teamed this HO role. So they helped the file worker and simmer, making sure there's not errors. Our simmer was a first timer, so making sure they knew actually how to do the job. And make sure everything ran smoothly. Obviously, as I said, we didn't have that, so it some of the things fell through the cracks, which I'd like to fix for next year, but we'll see. So apply if you're on site and you're just looking for something to do, or even if you're not looking for something to do and just want to help me out, apply, please. Yeah, so no HO, we got a simmer, we got a file worker, we need GMs. So this is, I know this from personal experience as being a GM, and Zodiac, well, I don't know how you want me to refer to you, Zodiac, but Zodiac, Dwayne Gretzky, on the forum site, he's 3 losers. So that user, he reached out to me almost every single season, just, I don't want to say begging, but looking for GMs to fill spots. I know there was a few times in the past few seasons where even he had to fill a GM spot because there were not enough people, interested. So I knew that was going to be a challenge going out of the bat. And I think I got a little bit of help just from the, buzz about the change in management and, trying to hype up this tournament. I think I had some people come out, say they'd help me where they wouldn't have reached out in the past few seasons otherwise. So that was a big help for me, and I think the challenge going forward is to keep those people or to get new people into GM roles. I mean, I want new time, first time GMs in these roles. I think that's what everyone wants. But I think the difficulty in that is new players, new users. Well, they don't even have to be new users, old users who've just never GM'd before. It's hard to persuade them to do it. Or if you do persuade them to do it, I think I've seen it before. There's a decent chance where they're hired and then that's about the most they do in that position. And it's kind of a ghost GM. So I prefer not to have that. I'd honestly even rather have an old, experienced veteran GM over a new GM that just totally ghosts the whole operation. But we did fill all the GM positions, thankfully, this season. I think it went great. There were some issues with the eligibility sheet, and that was totally my fault. I just, you think you know Excel, you think you know how to copy things over and go through files, but I messed up, missed some people, and it got kind of whack from there. So you would see Swedish players on British Isles and Russian players on Team Canada, and it was just kind of all messed up. And I think that hurt the fairness of the tournament, just because maybe some teams got players that maybe they shouldn't have. But I just, it happens. I apologize for that. I think all the GMs were understanding, but we'll get it right next year. And we're just trying to all have fun. So I think it worked out okay. And people watched the tournament. People watched the streams because of J-Bay and his awesome simming skills. So I think everything went great. Honestly, I can ask for a better tournament, but it went pretty well. At least on par from the year before, and improving. So that's a little bit about World Junior Championship, WJC. Season is starting. Season 68 is starting. The season 68 WJC tournament is going to be back around in another month and a half or so, month maybe. And I'll probably start hiring for those positions in the next, well, probably not in the next few weeks, but definitely thinking about next season now and going into the next few weeks. So look out for any job postings, look out for any posts or updates, to the WJC sphere. So that's WJC. Thanks for listening. Let's go on to another topic. So, preseason. Actually, you know what? Give me 20 seconds. I got to run and get a bottle of water because I have not talked this much in a long time and my throat is getting scratchy. So, excuse me. Give me a few seconds. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, my throat. I was just talking. What have we been? Almost 15 minutes now. And, I have sat here all day. I don't think I haven't talked to another single human being all day. My voice has not been used this morning. Just sitting at home alone. Let's see. Preseason. Let's go. Let's go to the index. Let's talk about Junior League first. Junior preseason. Okay, look at that. My own Scarecrow is up top of the standings. Not that preseason means too much, but Scarecrow 6-1. I think that's pretty good. I set the preseason tactics just kind of on a whim. This person here, that person there. Some strategy to it, but mostly just kind of whatever to get those lines filled. So it looks like it's working. So we'll probably keep that as long as we're going. So let's see. Let's look at my Scarecrows here. Holy crap. I have not looked at that. So Diablo Rose, 17 points in 7 games. Now, I got to see, some of these preseason games, people don't set their line. So, I don't know what Kelowna has done this preseason. Oh, they're not doing too bad. Well, could be better. And I don't know what their roster looks like. Yeah, they don't have the best roster. But I would be surprised if that 9-0 win from St. Louis was against their best tactics. I just don't see that happening. Wow. 9 goals, 6 goals, 7 goals, 6 goals, 5 goals, 6 goals, 5 goals. Wow. No less than 5 goals every game for St. Louis. That is, I like this. I like the look of that. Tell you what. Yeah, I mean, lots of offense from our people. Love it. PDO is great as well. Advanced stats. Pretty good. So St. Louis, I think we're going to keep rolling what we're rolling and see how it goes. Let's see. I don't really know what the standings are supposed to be for the junior league this year. I know we were talking about it in the St. Louis locker room, like who's good, who's not for the rookie predictions. I think we were talking about, I don't even know. I think Anchorage might be good this year. Oops. I don't know. Really don't know. We'll see in a few weeks how it all shakes out. But I think more telling is the SHL standings for preseason. We know Toronto, Chicago, Winnipeg, Philadelphia, Atlanta. We know these teams up here are going to be good this year. And we know some of these teams down here are not going to be as good. So I think this is a better representation than the junior league of what the final standings might be. I don't think it's exact, obviously, because I could see Montreal fighting their way up here at the end of the season. I don't remember what New Orleans has done this season, trade-wise or free agent-wise, but I think they could be a little higher as well. Calgary is a big X factor. I have 2 of their players, Duncan McKenzie and Eero Makala, on my fantasy team, and I am praying that they do well because I need the fantasy points. I have never, ever, 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 ever had a fantasy, first through 4th place, never got any TP from it. So I'm looking forward to that this season. So I think Calgary is the big X factor. this season. I'm kind of scared about Chicago as someone who's in Winnipeg. Them doing this well right now, scares me. And Texas is upcoming as well. And then New Orleans, might be on a downtrend, but I think they could surprise people as well. So scared about Chicago, but we'll see. We'll see how they do. Yeah, they still got a lot of solid players. Good, solid roster right in the middle. So, well, and Matt Smith. So we'll see. Let's look at the overall. Oh, so that's the other thing. I did notice some of the teams did not set their lines like the first day because like Buffalo scored 24 goals in 2 games. Like, tell me about that. How does that happen? Either Buffalo is that good this season, or I know Hamilton and Minnesota are not great this season, bottom of the barrel, but not 14-1 and 10-5. I don't see that happening. I mean, Buffalo scoring 2 goals, 1 goal, 6 goals. Yeah, I think that was just kind of a fluke. Line's not set correctly, sort of thing. So, let's talk about I have some things written down here, but we kind of talked about some of this stuff. Predictions for this upcoming year. I kind of said this is kind of how I see it shaking out. A few people moving different places, but generally, for my predictions, well, I don't want to go into that right now. I was going to show you the predictions that I did for the point task, but well, I guess we can go into it. So, a lot of people picking Calgary second. Everyone banking on Seattle as Pacific Division champs. A lot of people picking Edmonton bottom of the barrel. Mostly everyone picking Winnipeg for the top and Minnesota for the bottom of the Central. Northeast, people picking Toronto and then Hamilton at the bottom. And then Atlanta 1, Baltimore 5. Baltimore being in a rebuilding stage right now. Let's see, Challenge Cup. A lot of Winnipeg. My player is a Winnipeg Roar player, so that makes me happy to see. Hopefully we can pull it out. I see some other see a few Calgarys in there. See some Atlantas, Toronto, Seattle, but really mostly Winnipeg. So we'll see. Because if you look here, the West, most people have either Winnipeg or Seattle, like it, and maybe a few Calgarys. And then on, which one is this? East Champion. Somebody picked Hamilton. Who picked Hamilton? Oh, fire. Okay. We'll see if that works out for you. Some Toronto's and Atlanta. A few Manhattans. So Toronto, Atlanta, Winnipeg, Seattle are probably your top 4 picks for this season. I did want to show you guys something I did. So in one of my locker room, or what are they called on Discord? The like channels. Not channels. Servers. One of the servers I'm on, I'm not going to tell you which one. We were talking about regression, and what regression looks like. I know we went through a big change about a year ago, which it's crazy. It's been a year, but went through the change a year ago. I think it works. I'm a little sad that my player has to go through regression a year early. I think I could have hit like, one of the top max earning people, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. I live with it. I think it helps the league. We were talking about how certain players, most players recreate after, I don't know, probably 8 to 15 seasons. Once they hit peak TPE and start hitting regression, they might regress like 3 to 4 years. Not many people going past the fourth, fifth regression just because it gets to be kind of a grind. And so we were talking about those people that just hold out, your Slip McScruffs or your Andreas Kvalheims, those guys from like S45 who are still going in this league, how regression affects them. So I was looking into it, kind of deep diving a little bit, and I found out that Slip McScruff has lost over 4,100 TPE to regression over his career, which is absolutely ridiculous. That is a huge amount of TPE to loss. That's like 2 whole extra players he could have, max earned to get to, whatever, the 2K club or whatever, but in one player via regression. So I was looking into that. And then Jess was actually talking to me about, the regression plateau, because theoretically, you wouldn't regress until you're, 0 TPE if you're active. So if you're an active user and you're maybe not max earning, but earning at least a little bit to fight off regression and keep building up every year, there's going to be a plateau you reach, where you lose the TP to regression and then you gain it back over the year and then you lose it again to regression. So because there's a 30% regression clip after I think it's the 25th season or something like that. You just kind of stay there in a plateau. So I want to show you, let me share my screen. So this is here, let's see if you can see that. This is the math on that. So you start out, you create your player, you're 155 TPE. Well, these should actually be reversed, but forgive me on that. So you start out, this is going to be the beginning of a season, and this is going to be the end of a season. So after your first season, well, I don't know, but whatever. Just look at this number. So 155, if you max earn at 190 TP every year, which a few people do, so this might not be for everyone, but just theoretically on the plateau, subject, if you earn 190 TPE, which is about max every year or every season, you're going to gain, hit your 2K mark or right above it, and then you're going to hit regression, which is going to bump you down, 200, 300 TPE. And then you're going to get it back and you're going to bump down again and you're going to be over 2,000. And then as you regress down, 19th season, 20th season, 21st season, back under 1,000. And then if you're continually earning 190 TPE, once your TPE gets low enough, right in this range, you're going to hit a plateau. Actually, disregard this. I didn't drag this formula down. That's not right. That's not right either. Don't look at that. So right around here, right around 650, 640 TPE, you're going to hit a plateau. So if you're a max earner, theoretically, you could, keep the same player from now until season 300, but they'd always be at 650 TPE. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't sound really fun to just stay in that, armpit of TPE regression forever. So I know, let's see, Slip and Andreas are 45 and we're in season 68. So they're at season 23. So they're right around here-ish. Yeah. We'll see if they get down here, but I don't know about that. But it's just an interesting thing to think about in terms of regression. Now, obviously, they just instituted the, auto retirement if a player hits 155 TPE. Now, I think this is a great change because this is just going to be regarding those players that are inactive. So you see it all the time, not all the time, but you see it in a few players. They're got like 150, 50 TPE, 40 TPE, and they're just inactive and they're used as like a backup goalie just for, kicks. And auto retiring those players, I think that's a great option because that allows some active people to come in, to the fold. So those are a few thoughts on regression. I personally would like to keep my player around for a while. We'll see. We'll see if I get bored or not once regression hits my player. It's easy to talk when you're not in regression. So we'll see. We'll see what happens once regression comes. Let's check. I do not expect there to be questions. Yeah, no. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, thanks for that. Oh, wait. Oh, no, still no questions. So, okay, that's fine. Nah, I'm not going to steal other people's questions. Or will I? Let's steal some questions. I'm going to steal some questions. Let's steal from Joe K. Let's see. I'm not going to answer this question directly, but I just want to talk about GMing. How do you keep it fresh and interesting? I want to be totally honest. I think Sparky does most of our, GMing in St. Louis. I'm the co-GM in St. Louis. My main role is I do all the off-season tasks. I help with the draft if I'm available. I set the lines every now and then and look at tactics when I can. And I show up to the locker room every now and then. I wish I could have a bigger Discord presence. I'm just not that kind of person, to have that presence in a locker room exclusively. Winnipeg is my main locker room. I don't know if anyone else does this, but they might have one main locker room that they always hang out in, and then they have a few others that they might, check on, and then like all the other servers on your thing are just like clear notifications. But that's kind of how I am. I'm in Winnipeg a lot just because there's a ton of great active users on that team. I love that team. I am so glad I was drafted that team because I think it's just amazing. And I feel bad for anyone not in Winnipeg. But St. Louis is probably one of my secondary ones. I'm in there every now and then. I'll, help out with some questions and things, but especially since I got the WJC gig, I'm not in St. Louis as much anymore just because my attention is elsewhere. I just started dabbling again in ISFL, so that's kind of tertiary in terms of my attention to ISFL, but it does grab a little bit of my attention. So St. Louis, I do the tasks, I help out a little bit, but Sparky is really, the major player in terms of like player and user engagement in the locker room, lines, tactics, that sort of thing, which we kind of tag team on it. I personally hate sitting down at my computer, opening FHM, downloading the file, looking through it all. Like that is like the last thing I want to do when I get home from work, but we do it every now and then. So, I definitely enjoy the off season tasks, moving doing the budget, moving the roster around, drafting, that sort of thing. The whole lines and, tactic stuff. You can get so deep into it. And I know they ended test simming, which helped me out a lot. Not because it stopped me from test simming, is because I never did test simming, so everyone else is now on my playing field. So I think that was a good thing. But yeah, so that's if you're a GM, how do you keep things interesting? I think it depends on the person. Like for me, it's just that when the seasons are shorter, like 2 months, or 7 weeks, something like that, it kind of gets me back into the rhythm of, doing tasks, doing drafting. I I'll tell you what, my biggest shortcoming as a GM is scouting come draft time. I don't think I've personally scouted anyone in like 3 seasons. And that is just horrible as a GM. It's just I get no satisfaction out of that. And I just let Sparky do it. And well, I'll tell you what, we have Anthony Dion in our war room in St. Louis, and he has helped out tremendously. He has done so well as our captain in our head office. I'm going to miss him so much next year because he does like next level scouting on all these new draft picks or draftees, prospects. And I don't know what we're going to do next year when he leaves. So we might have to hire a co-GM to do all the scouting for us. So we'll see. And that's nothing against any of the prospects. It's just, it is a lot of work and it's a lot of energy to put into that sort of thing. So that's actually a great segue. Let's talk about the draft, the junior draft that just happened. Where are we here? Draft Central. When was this? The 13th, a week ago. Okay, we're still in the acceptable date range of time. Well, okay. Somebody needs to knock down ACAP store and get this updated. Okay, so this is what I know. I know we chose a few players up here. I think, oh yeah, we traded for this pick, so we got 2 picks St. Louis, 3 pick. We did great is all I'm saying, because if you go to Canada's great awesome analytics sheet here once it loads. I'm not saying TPE is everything. TPE is not everything. Personalities, locker room mix, locker room culture is the main goal. But it doesn't hurt to have some good earning players as well. And I will say, being in our locker room in St. Louis, it has really come alive the past few weeks. Some of our users, not only that we drafted this season, but that we drafted last season and the season before that, are very active talkers in the locker room. And with Sparky and myself, I think it makes it our locker room probably, a pretty decent locker room in terms of SMJHL locker rooms. I've not been in really any of the other locker rooms other than Carolina for a little bit. But I have to imagine that the St. Louis locker room is just on par in activity right now as any of the others. I know there was a while there, probably a few seasons ago, where the St. Louis locker room was just kind of dead. Like, there's nothing happening. We didn't really have any. We had some maybe active players on the forums, but nobody that was really active in the Discord channel. So really right now we're kind of in a renaissance of our Discord locker room. So look at all that yellow. So we got Zap, Nick Tox, Bonk, Slappy Doodle. We did draft Sparky, his new player, and then we picked up Marlowe on waivers after the draft, and we got Pitford Fish here as well. So I think we knocked the draft out of the park. Now, I wasn't there for that draft. Maybe that's why we did knock it out of the park, because Anthony and Sparky did all the work. But I think St. Louis had an amazing draft. And we've been kind of saving up some picks for this draft, so it does make sense. But let's see if they can continue their earning and help us win some cups here, because St. Louis we're dying for a cup. We're pushing a lot the past 2 years, and both of the past 2 years, Quebec City knocked us out in like Game 7 in the semifinals. So this is one of these years got to be our year. And we did take a step back because some of our better players left for the SHL, but we'll see. We'll see. We had a great preseason, so we'll see how it goes. Let's see. What else can we talk about in here? Let's talk about now. Let me address something. I said this earlier. TPE is not everything. And I think a lot of users focus on TPE as a level of activity, as a level of skill of their player, and that basically TPE might be the be-all and end-all of all discussions. Now, I don't believe that. I believe that users and user activity in the locker rooms is probably the most important factor of a player, of a person, of a user. TPE is also very important when it comes to overall player progression and growth. So obviously, in my mind, someone who has 1,500 TPE is more valuable than someone who has 800 TPE. I think it helps your team, their chances to win a cup better. When you get more, you add to your skills, increase your skills, and that sort of thing. Do I think that 2,000 TPE players and 1,700 TPE players can be equal? Yes, I do. I think it has to do with the team they're on, the line mates they have, the tactics that are run. I think all of that goes into it, because obviously, like last year, Jimmy Larkin Conway, he has, well, I know he's in my draft class, draft 60. He has 1,400 TPE, and yet he was like top 5 in points in the league this year. So it really all goes back to, line mates, tactics, how you run them, what roles you put them in, that sort of thing. But I do want to look at TPE for a second because I think it's a decent barometer of player progression activity. So if someone quote unquote max earns, I think that shows that they're invested in improving their player regularly, and it can be a good barometer for activity. Now every now and then you'll have these people that are active in locker rooms or whatever, but may not update their player every week, every time, which is fine. Everyone's experience is their own and whatever makes this league fun. But, I like to look at overall TPE. Maybe it's because I like to max earn and I'm competitive and I like to know where I stand among my peers. But whatever, take that as you will. But I wanted to point this little fact out, or just this thing I noticed. And I kind of saw this coming for a few seasons just because I would look at my player and see where they are in terms of, league standing. And defensemen in the SHL have, from what I've been told, always been kind of a little scarce. So you're always going to have good defensemen. You're always going to have defensemen. People create as defensemen. That's fine. But it's not as flashy as forwards, and there's not going to be as many people create defensemen as they do forwards. So every now and then you're going to get a few defenseman droughts, and I think we're in one right now. Not overall, but I think the elite high-earning defensemen are in a little bit of a drought right now. So there are 5 defensemen over 1850 TPE right now. And Luke Lewin is on regression. Baines I think I heard he switched to forward. I'm not sure if that's true or not, because somebody picked him in fantasy in my locker room and then said that he switched to forward or something and screwed him over or something. I don't know. But so if Baines is out of the picture, you only have 6 defensemen that are above 1800 TPE, which I don't know exactly how that compares to past years, but that's a pretty big gap. Like if you got 2000, 1900, and then you're in the 1700s for like 4 players, and then you're in the 1600s for a few. If you have only 19 defensemen over 1600 TPE, what is that? We got 20 teams in the SHL. So not even every team, if they were evenly distributed, would have a defenseman above 1600 TPE right now, which I think that constitutes a drought. I think that's, a little on the low side. We do have, I'm second guessing myself now. We do have 20 teams in the SHL, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, 1600, 1500, you got quite a few in the 12 to 1500 range, 12 to 1600 range, but it's not a ton. Like if you go to 40, so each team would have 2 defensemen. That's every team would have 2 defensemen over 1300, which 1300 isn't bad in terms of TPE level, not at all. But I mean, if you have your top pairing over 1300 and then a second pairing under 1300, that's a pretty big difference, especially if you get like, a second pairing in the 1200s and a first pairing up in the 1800s. I think that's a pretty big discrepancy, pretty big difference. Oh, shoot. I missed you, Frenchie. I just flipped over to the chat. Oh man, I missed Frenchie. Okay, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, sorry about that. First time going, I was stuck on a different window. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for joining for a minute, Frenchie. Um, where was I? Oh yeah. So defenseman maybe a little thin. Goalies fluctuates like crazy. Um, I think we're right where we've always been. So Aka Karsikko is hitting peak right now, so he's going to be probably at 20, 2050 TPE before he hits regression. 2050, 2060 maybe, somewhere around there, which is good. Petrov and Matt Smith, these three are in regression, going down. OD is going up at 62. Brickwall is going up. They're in the same draft class. Miller going up. So we got a few going up, a few going down. I think it's fairly solid. I think we could do for a few more goalies in this range just to make it even. I know goalies in FHM are a little crazy, but sorry, I'm looking at my phone for a second. Okay. Yeah, so goalies are fine. Forwards, you're never going to have a lack of forwards. I mean, there's, a ton up here, 1,800, 1,700. Yeah, forwards are fine. Yeah. So, yeah, that's just a quick look of TPE. Oh, shoot. Question. How do I feel about the past World Junior Championship? What are my long-term goals for the World Junior Championship? Kind of covered that at the beginning of the show. So I think this past World Junior Championship went very well. I think it could have gone better. There were some mistakes in terms of eligibility files and some learning curves for the simming and the GMing and all that stuff. But I think it went pretty well. I think we got the awards, the individual awards posted and published and notified quickly. I think we got pay up quickly, which is, those details that you might miss, but they went off very well. I did try something out new, so obviously I'm doing this podcast now. I did get a new microphone. So I tested it out in the awards ceremony. So we live streamed the awards show for the World Junior Championship, and I think that went okay. I don't know if anyone watched it or not, because it wasn't really announced beforehand. I kind of did it off the cuff right when I was sitting down to do the award tabulations, but I think that went well. So I think everything went fairly well. I think I know what we can improve for next year. Long-term goals for the World Junior Championship. Visibility, like I said, making sure people know that it's happening, working with, Jace to get it up on the calendar, maybe hopefully getting someone hired as a, excitement outreach person to, start posting about this, posting history things. I will say, I don't want to go into too much detail, but we are working on a forum update, for World Junior Championship history, awards, teams, that sort of thing, just to kind of bring us up to par in terms of like IIHF, SHL, SMJHL. So I think there's some good goals we have for long term. I don't know how we fix some things like GM interest and the domination of coalitions. This is something we've talked about a little bit. So, you're always going to have like Canada, USA, Doc, UCorkle. Yeah, those four. Those four are always going to be in the running for something just because they have so many junior players signed up for those countries. And, Doc has won 3 years in a row now, and my player is a Swiss player. I was part of Doc, and we did not win a few of the years I was there. We did win one of the years I was there. But Doc is really at an advantage because they have Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, 3 different federations to pull from the best players from each of those federations. Same as UCorkle, with Russia, Latvia, and Czechia. They're going to get the best players from those federations. And then you have like Finland, who only has a handful of players to pull from there. So, but we can't, we got to include everyone. So how do you include the elite players, but then also the, new draftees at 155 TPE, or the players who just earn a little bit at like 250 TPE? How do you evenly distribute those without just a straight up general draft evenly? And I don't know if we have the answer yet. I mean, I'm sure others before myself have thought about this, and just didn't know what to do. So I don't know. We'll think about that, and we'll see how it goes going into the future. I was thinking that I liked the idea of a just straight up draft and make like made up teams. I know they did that back in like I think the let's look it up. They did back in the 30s. They did just a straight up draft and had like weirdo team names, for the drafted teams. And maybe that went well. But my problem is you don't know, and you have no sort of pride for whatever players are on these teams. Like, sure, you could be a member of the Oslo Wolves, but, who was on that team? Maybe next year you're on a different team, so you don't know, you don't have the same national pride. It is good for mixing players so people aren't stuck in their little country bubbles, but I don't know if that's the answer. Yeah, I don't know if that's the answer. But I think World Junior Championship went well this year, and I think it's gonna go well going into the future. So yeah, we'll see. I will say we're coming up on an hour here. I don't know if this free version of whatever stream device I have ends in an hour. So if I get cut off in 8 seconds, I guess I'll figure out the answer to that. But if not, I'm going to just keep going a little bit and get over an hour. Okay, so we're over an hour. Good. I didn't get cut off. I did see that like paid version was like streaming up to like 2 or 3 hours. So I assumed the free one was like 1 hour. But just probably like another minute here. Closing thoughts. Check on questions again real quick. No more questions. So yeah, closing thoughts. Preseason went well. Looking forward to the regular season. World Junior Championship went well this past season. Looking forward to next season. First time podcast. Hopefully it went well. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. Hopefully we talked about some interesting things. And I am thankful for all you graders who have to sit here and listen to this. So at least I know that 2 people are listening to this podcast, that being the grader and Frenchie, even though I ignored Frenchie. So thanks all. Need to figure out a sign off for now, but other than that, that concludes episode 1 of the Bipod Show. Still workshopping that name. I don't know about that. So, okay, see you guys. Thanks. Bye.